G'day cocktail lovers. I'm doing an experiment in the bar tonight. It's science time. An experiment some people might say is dangerous. Some might even say is illegal. But don't worry, I actually looked up the laws. Where I am, this is not illegal. You might say it's illegal where you are. That's of no import to me. Don't bother trying to look up what jurisdiction I'm in. I'm in Minecraft. This is all happening in Minecraft. This experiment is inspired by history, the grand tradition of Applejack. To give you a quick overview, in the olden times, like 1800s, in some apple producing areas of the US, the very cold regions, there was a practice some people had when it got super cold in winter. They would put a barrel of cider outside and the water element of it would freeze. Alcohol has a really low freezing point, so the alcohol is not going to freeze. Then they drill into it and drain out this liquid, which was essentially a concentrated form of the cider. It's higher alcohol content than the cider, maybe twice as high, and it's sometimes misnamed freeze distilling because you're definitely not distilling the liquid, you're condensing the amount of alcohol that's in there. As I said, it did get made illegal. There were health concerns. Maybe the rather rudimentary brewing style that created the ciders had methanol in it, and the concentration made people worried there was too much methanol in the alcohol. Too much methanol means, well, first, like really bad hangovers and organ failure and blindness and potentially death. Just reiterating, not only is this legal where I am, it's safe because I'm using modern commercially made apple cider, no methanol in that. So even if I concentrate it, I'm not creating dangerous levels of methanol. I honestly don't know how the idea of applejacking first got into my head, but once I started thinking about it, I thought, the directional freezing that I do to get clear ice, that should work and be actually very helpful for concentrating the apple cider by the applejacking method. The only equipment you need is a freezer and a double-walled insulated coffee cup. You know, the sort that people take their coffee with them. Because when it's insulated on all sides apart from the top, whatever liquid you put in it and put it in the freezer, it will freeze from the top down. When I'm just making ice, that means the ice freezes clear. It pushes the air bubbles and the impurities down to the bottom. And if you don't let it freeze all the way, it's much easier to get open and you get this beautiful clear ice. With the apple cider, I figured what's going to happen is the water aspect of the cider is going to freeze on the top, and the alcohol stuff, which is not going to freeze because my freezer is nowhere near cold enough to do that, it's going to go to the bottom. So after I leave it for a while, a couple of days, then I can put it upside down to drain onto something, of course catching the liquid that drains out because that's what I want, and eventually you get the ice out and you've got the concentrated or Applejack cider. Like I said, we're doing science here. So I made 2 batches so I could do some comparisons. One I froze for 2 days, the other I froze for 3 days to see if that made a difference in taste, if it felt like the 3-day one tasted stronger. Science, experiment, observation. Let's see what happens. In fact, there are 4 things I wanted to learn from this experiment. 1, would it work? 2, would the Applejack taste good? 3, does the ice that form as clear ice like it would with water? And 4, is the ice flavored? Revealing the ice first. No, it is not clear. It's got a little bit of the apple juice color in it. And interestingly, it isn't frozen solid. I can I'm making a mess, but I can crush it. I was going to put it in that glass, but it won't fit. And licking the ice off my fingers, I can tell you, it's definitely apple cider flavored. So just for fun, I'm putting it in this big glass. I'm going to pour some sody onto it and set that aside. See what it tastes like in a few minutes. Now with the 2 batches of Applejack, there's no notable visible difference between them. The amount of liquid I got was actually less than half the volume of the cans. That does not mean that this is twice the alcohol strength of the cans, because the way that ice is flaking tells me there's alcohol still in that ice. I used 7% alcohol by volume cider, so at a guess, the alcohol content of these is somewhere between 10 and 15%, although I don't have the right tools to actually tell me, so I'm guessing. This is the batch that froze for 2 days. I'm going to try this. It actually tastes like apple juice. Like, of course, it's not sparkling anymore. Well, I was worried I'd have to sweeten this or something. It's actually, unsurprisingly, super sweet because it's concentrated. does not taste like alcohol, which is always a dangerous sign. Now, this is the one that froze for 3 days. There's honestly no appreciable difference between them. I think this would actually be quite nice on ice. I'm going to try and work out a cocktail I can make with this as well. I'm sure there are some pearl clutches out there saying I'm doing a terrible illegal thing, so I will remind you, I checked, this is legal where I am, Minecraft. And if anyone's saying this is bad, I'm a bad influence by saying, hey, you can have stronger alcohol. This is less than half the strength of a standard spirit, so that's a ridiculous argument. Maybe there's some silly little boy out there who goes, oh, look at what he did. I could make my cider twice as strong. Or just drink 2 cans of cider, bro. I did this not to get super drunk or to make a really strong drink, because that is not what this is. It's just an interesting experiment, and now I know it works, I have the next phase of the experiment in mind. I'm going to make some more. I've got another half dozen cans I'm going to freeze. I'll have a decent volume then, and I'm going to barrel age some because I think that will improve the flavor. I'll be very keen to see. I'm going to taste it at the 2-week mark. If that tastes perfect, I'll take it out. Maybe I'll leave it longer for as long as 4 weeks. So hey, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you are, because you need to come back and find out what my barrel-aged Applejack tastes like. I think it's going to taste good, and I'm very keen to see the end result, and I'm very keen to have you here with me. Until I do come back, until you come back and see me, I'm just going to sign off and say cheers.